Alright, two things. One, I have a Q&A going on. Questions, you can ask them through the link in the description to the Q&A video. And secondly, I'm going to have a little rant about RWBY, and so you can skip to the time on screen if you want to get to the actual review that this video is named after. So some people were going on about how just awesome RWBY's Crescent Rose upgrade is, and that's fine. It's okay if you think it's some really cool thing, but I want to explain exactly why I don't like it and how it completely clashes with the style of a character. RWBY's new upgrade is something that requires her to stand still after an attack, flip it around and attack again. While there are some uses I could see for the function that are going to appear in the volume to try and justify this, because situationally any function is useful, it completely clashes with her fighting style. RWBY is a fighter who goes with the flow of her attacks. She makes a big swing, and then she'll rotate around with the momentum of it to keep up the pace. Here's an animation of how swing works with her normally, and here's what she's doing with the new weapon. This is what we're talking about. But what's the problem? Well, this new method is extremely slow in comparison to her normal, very smooth fighting style, and that's a problem, since from day one, speed has been an integral theme of RWBY's character. Her semblance makes her go really fast, she rushes into things without thinking, she talks quickly when she's nervous, she attacks super fast, she's impulsive and reckless. These are all traits she has connected to the theme of being fast. That's a theme. In the first 3 volumes, her stupid moments don't come from a sheer lack of intelligence, but a lack of thought and foresight before jumping into things. The whole point of Players in Pieces is that at the start, when she doesn't think and take the time to actually come up with a plan, she just rushes into attack, she fails. But when she slows down, she can become a good leader with a good mind and good strategies. She's not stupid, she's just too quick for her own good. Every single stupid moment, more or less, can be attributed to that. You can also look at the food fight. The only characters to not specifically get weapons hearkening to their own are Ren and RWBY. Ren is a person of practicality who grabbed the closest thing to him without caring what it was. RWBY, not thinking that far ahead, was just using something she could zoom into the battlefield as soon as possible with. That motif has been with her till volume 4, where it inexplicably changes. However, one thing from it that she has kept has been the speed. Now it's possible even that could be lessened, because either they'll keep her speed in the animation without the new spinning gimmick, or they'll use the spinning gimmick. Because if they try to combine them, they'll either have her attacking so fast the spin of the blade doesn't finish till after she swings, or it'll be slower no matter what they try. Either way, this spinning thing is going to be completely unimportant. It's so stupid. RWBY as a character has really been butchered the last few volumes. I used to really love her because she was this simple, dorky fool girl, but now she's so inconsistent there's literally 3 different eras of her character. Volumes 1 to 3 where she's a quick, impulsive dork, volumes 4 to 5 where she's absolutely brain dead, and volumes 6 and 7 where she has the occasional dumb moment but makes almost no mistakes as a leader. And I know some of you are going to say this is a sign of character development. No! No, it is not. If any of you watched my Garo video, you know that character development can only work if there's something new introduced to someone's life in some way. Leon loses everything and finds himself a new family that changes him. Vegeta from Dragon Ball finds himself a wife, a rival, a son, and acceptance for who he is. Waver Velvet from Fate Zero finds a new supportive friend who tries to better him in life. Ebenezer Scrooge encounters the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Hajime Hinata meets Chiaki and Nanami. Me, in real life, purely anecdotal, changed and bettered myself because I met Kitty Kirishima, and found myself a group of friends that accepted me for who I was and didn't ask me to be anyone else. And it's not just about encountering the new things, but seeing and understanding how they change someone. We get to see the moments that Vegeta changes. We get to hear every bit of advice as Skandar gives to Waver. We get to experience Hajime's interactions with Chiaki. We get to truly understand Leon's new family and the effects they have on him. RWBY, we don't get that at all. Why would her impulsiveness and rashness be affected in any of these big moments? Penny's death, we barely see her react, she cries and then she doesn't bring it up again till volume 5. Pyrrha's death, if she wasn't as rash then she would never have even known Pyrrha had died. There'd be no body, they wouldn't know if she died or if she just got kidnapped. The fall of Beacon, we never get to see how that changes her. The attack from Tyrion, literally nothing she could do would affect how that went down. Crow getting injured, we never see her blame herself for it and feel responsible for how she acted. This would have been a perfect point for her to become a better character by learning from the mistakes that she made, running into the fight without thinking about how it could affect Crow. But we don't get to see that. That's the one point ever that might affect her like this, and we never see it even brought up in that context. What a missed opportunity. But do you get what I dislike about this new weapon feature now? The more I think about it, the more it reminds me of how far RWBY has fallen. Look, I know people still love RWBY, and I know Kitty likely massively disagrees with what I'm saying, and I understand and accept that. I know there are a lot of RWBY critics that try to enforce their opinions of people and criticize fans, using all these really harsh words to make you feel stupid about thinking otherwise, and that is a legitimate way to argue a point if you didn't know. in argumentative and debate. Trying to use incredibly negative connotations to target someone's opinion can affect them to make them think that their opinion is worse than it is. It's something you can do, but a lot of them don't try to listen to other people. And while I definitely do like to sometimes use that sort of argument and try to criticize the way some fans act, it's not right to criticize people based solely on the fact that they like something differently from me, or they just think differently to me. That's stupid. I could not understand someone who likes RWBY's new weapon. But that's okay, because I'm looking at it in a different way than they probably are. But in my point of view, RWBY has lost almost all of her character flaws. All of her impulsive moments have been replaced with her just being a moron. Her dorky moments are replaced with over-the-top character animation that better fits Nora or Penny than RWBY. And this new weapon clashes with her entire character basis of speed. Now on to the actual episode. When it comes to episodes where borderline nothing happens, this one gets the distinction of having not bored me to death. Part of that comes from them acknowledging that volumes 5 and 6 were drop dead boring, a good way to start the episode in my books. Another thing it did was have interactions we haven't seen so often that it is less like watching a conversation and more like staring into the void. We get Nora obviously flirting with her new senpai Miss Thunderthighs, who's obviously going to replace Ren, and I couldn't be bothered remembering the name of, and Harriet explaining that workmates and friends aren't necessarily one and the same. It'd be good if later parts of the volume expand on this by showing several members in their own friend circles unrelated to the other Aesops. But knowing RWBY, instead it's going to have the Aesop be friends, Team RWBY and Juniper, and each other, because RWBY and Juniper are special snowflakes that make everyone better, you know? That's just how that works. Unfortunately, there's very little of the Aesops in this episode. Fortunately, though, there is a lot of Ironwood. And there's a corpse, which is brought up once and never again in the span of the episode, so if you're like me and just woke up not long ago, you might have forgotten this on the first watch. Needless to say, though, I've come to really like Ironwood's characterization here. Yes, this is probably just more character development that happened off-screen, but seeing as this story is supposed to be following Teams RWBY and Juniper, I prefer having development off-screen for characters unrelated over the world just pausing whenever the protagonists aren't around. Then again, Ironwood did so little over the course of the first few volumes that it's possible this isn't any development at all, and this is just his normal characterization. Then again, he might have developed, like how Penny and Winter have never mind. Where the hell is Maria this volume? Bring her back. Oh, and Oscar's not here too, but fuck him. I did quite enjoy both of Jacques' scenes, especially the one with Watts. Watts here is pretty good in the episode, and props to the voice actor. Christopher Sabat did about as good as he normally does, especially now that he doesn't have to share a recording studio with Vic. But I do like how much of an A-grade cunt Jacques is. Guilt-tripping Weiss with her mother, who totally exists and isn't someone they're too lazy to make a model for, just wait, she'll show up later in the volume. Also, Willie's here, but fuck him. Back to Sabat though, he almost pulls up the line, "You can have your cake and eat it too." What the fuck are you talking about? In a creepy way. And honestly, coming across as half as creepy as Sabat did would be an achievement with that line. I'm complimenting a man over saying cake in a creepy way without eating his own mustache. Then there's the license thing, and I'm glad Team RWBY give about as much of a shit as I do. For some reason though, I really like the delivery of the enjoy the cake line. What is it about cake in this episode? I also find it hilarious that nobody bothered to invite Maria or Oscar. And for some reason, Yang's arm comes off at the ball joint and not at the connection point like we've seen prior. What? It does strike me as a little odd that RWBY, of all people, isn't enjoying this. I feel like if anything, it'd be more fitting for this to call back to the dance in Volume 2 with her just standing there awkwardly holding a cup and Crow walking up to talk to her. But I like the talk between them. It almost brings out some character from the mummified remains of RWBY's personality. And to be fair, if anyone was going to be okay with lying to Ironwood's face, it'd be Crow. Or Maria. She doesn't know him. And luckily, before the episode gets too bogged down with these bland pancake characters, the Aesops return. And at this point it struck me that Elm and Vine are literally just my RWBY abridged versions of Nora and Ren. I tell you to go watch my RWBY abridged to see what I mean, but don't put yourself through that. Elle might also be my new best girl, but then again, this is RWBY, so best girls are irrelevant, and no matter who you say is best girl, the fandom will collectively bash you for not having your own opinion. Anyway, this episode managed to escape the normal trappings of a RWBY let's talk and do nothing else episode by having several characters we don't always get to see do the talking. Jacques, Ironwood, Watts, and the Aesops managed to bring some life to this episode, and that's what matters to me. In fact, if Yang, Blake, Jean, Clover, and Winter weren't in this episode, it'd almost be better, because all these superfluous characters with all the worth of a penny just distract from the things that matter. If only RWBY applied its fight scene mentality to its conversation mentality and deleted anybody unnecessary from the scene. Also, I think I know why I like the RWBY and Crow scene, because it reminds me that these four characters are separate individuals, and not some hive mind that go together everywhere, do everything together, shower together, take shits in the same stalls as each other, brush their teeth with the same toothbrush, sleep in one bed, and are actually different beings that haven't been assimilated into a single parasitic organism. Because Team RWBY just absolutely refused to ever be away from each other for more than 2 seconds. It's almost like they're blank, but the show doesn't acknowledge how pathetic it is.